Hey you guys, welcome back. So today is a super exciting video for me, not only because we are talking about some of my favorite plants, but also because I have teamed up with Roehampton Orchids, one of my favorite online plant shops here in Canada, and we're going to be doing a giveaway at the end of this video. So make sure that you stay tuned straight through the end where I'll give you all the details. Okay, so let's get into it. Jewel orchids were a new discovery for me just this year. So at the beginning of COVID, when we were all still doing puzzles, I did a houseplant puzzle, and one of the plants on that houseplant puzzle was this really cool lightning bolt looking leaf plant I had never seen before. And it had all the names of the plants on this puzzle, so I looked it up. It was called a Macotes petola. Jewel orchids, they look cool, but they look so much cooler in person. This will not pick up on camera, but they have this incredible sparkly lightning bolt foliage. So I saw this on the puzzle and I needed one. So I searched up Jewel Orchids Canada and Roehampton Orchids popped up. So I ordered one through them many months ago, back closer to the beginning of COVID. And that started my love for jewel orchids, and now I own 6 different ones. So I'll go through how I care for my jewel orchids to make them look as beautiful as they can, as well as show you the varieties that I personally own. So to start, jewel orchids are not really a thing. They're just orchids that are grown specifically for their foliage. Their flowers are less impressive, but they have the most striking foliage. Like some varieties actually even sparkle. Like they have like glitter in the veins. It's incredible. They do not look real. I can't stress this enough. Jewel orchids are too cool to be plants. They're so cool. So first I'll go over some of the varieties that I have, and then I'll go into the care, because it varies depending on the variety as well. So we'll start with the most basic jewel orchid out there that is actually not too hard to find. A lot of plant shops or garden centers do bring them in, and that is a Ludicea discolor. So they have a very dark, kind of matte, olivey foliage that has pink veining. So again, this might not pick up the best on my camera, but these veins are just kind of a baby light pink. And the contrast between the two is really pretty. They grow faster than most other jewel orchids do, and they probably have the easiest care. Still a very stunning jewel orchid, but definitely compared to some of the other foliage we're gonna get to, this has the least exciting foliage in my opinion. But if you're new to jewel orchids, you maybe wanna test one before you really jump off the deep end. This is probably a good one to start with to learn. And there are other varieties of Ludicea, again, easier to care for, like the Spider-Man is another quite popular one. I will link some cool varieties in the description box down below, straight from Roehampton's website, so you can go take a look. Now, the next variety of jewel orchid, I can't pronounce, so I'm just gonna put it right here so that it's not Ludicea anymore, we're onto a different species. So here is one that I have, a Siamensis white center. So there is what the foliage looks like. Again, like I said, it's going to be hard to pick up just how sparkly this is on camera, but it is stunning. Now I will show you a very cool one that I got from Roehampton Orchids on their last restock. I'm so proud of it. And again, the camera is never gonna do this thing justice, but I will try my best. So this actually has 3 orchids in it, but it is the one in the very front, the little baby pink one. So it is the Siamensis pink gold variety, and it is gold sparkly right up the middle like it's fake, and those side veins are like a salmony pink. I'll insert a picture up here that Roehampton had taken against activated charcoal that does it way more justice than putting it in my mix does, but beautiful plant. And this is the exact one that I have in my possession. I only just recently got it. They shipped it during the winter to me. Their winter packaging is insane. They did amazing. This beautiful little guy made it all the way to me here in the prairies in Canada, and he's looking great. Now, while we're in this little terrarium, we might as well also talk about the Macodes in the back. So now we are jumping to a different variety again. So this dark guy back here, he is the first jewel orchid I ever got. I'll insert a picture of him when I first got him, and it has grown amazing in my greenhouse. Now, Macodes are more difficult to grow, so require more ideal conditions, maybe a little more of a watchful eye than your other varieties, but they are one of the more sought after varieties, of course, because of that lightning bolt foliage. So here is the Macodes petola that I got from Roehampton, and it's a Kalimantan variety. So it's slightly darker in the foliage. I'll show you a comparison to a regular petola in a minute, but it is absolutely beautiful, like lightning bolts. It's amazing. I stare at this all day. It's why the humidity of my greenhouse is low. It's because I've got my head shoved in the greenhouse looking at it. Now, this one over here is a Macodes Sanderiana. So a little more bright green, still that kind of lightning bolt foliage, a little more of like a ribbed edge to the leaves. Still super, super beautiful, so eye-catching. And this is my final Macodes. This is just the regular Macodes petola, a lot more green than the black one. So I'll try and show you a comparison here. So here is the Kalimantan petola variety. Again, you can see it's very dark. And here is the regular Macodes petola, much, much brighter green in comparison. Okay, now we'll dive right into their care. So different varieties, like I mentioned, require slightly different levels of care. You don't have to baby these. It's just I personally do baby these. I've got that too much gene. I have the greenhouse. I figure why wouldn't I give these beautiful little leaves the best growing environment that I possibly can. So for light, these like a low to low medium filtered light. So I have a grow light in my greenhouse. I keep these plants at the very, very bottom of the greenhouse, the farthest distance from that grow light. So while they still get light, they're not getting super bright direct light. Now for watering these plants, you cannot let the roots of these jewel orchids dry out. That's how you will kill off those new little growth tips. A dry jewel orchid will not do well. And alternatively, an oversaturated jewel orchid can certainly rot. I have seen it. I did lose a seedling to it. It happens. So with that being said, to water a plant like this, I actually use one of these. Whenever I have plants that need really targeted watering, this thing is awesome. You are really able to control how much you're watering with one of these little nozzle guys. They are fantastic. I have like 3 around the house. I use them for everything. I love them so much. Everything that I'm mentioning, I will also be linking in the description down below, so you can go check it out. Now, humidity. This is a hot topic for jewel orchids, is everyone assumes that they need super high humidity. And while they do, in order to look their absolute best, like if you saw that dark petola, it looks incredible. It's been living in 80% humidity for the last 6 months, but you do not want to achieve high humidity and sacrifice airflow. So I see all the time people putting glass covers over their orchids. I strongly advise against doing that. I keep mine, again, I have these terrariums. They all have a side open. The other one has a door. I leave it open all the time, and I have it in the greenhouse with high humidity, but this fan going on high 24/7. So if you can't provide it airflow, then don't worry about humidity. You are better off sacrificing humidity over airflow. Now, to fertilize these little plants, you'll still want to make sure that a few times a year you're providing some nutrients to your growing medium, but jewel orchids actually absorb their fertilizer through their foliage. So something like this is a Foliage Pro fertilizer, and it's actually designed to be mixed up with water and sprayed on the foliage of plants. So I really like using this. In the summers, you can actually use it on a lot of other plants a couple times a year as well. Plants do like to feed through their foliage, but jewel orchids especially like to feed through their foliage. Now for a growing medium. I've seen a few main ways of growing orchids, so I find that a lot of them seem to come in straight sphagnum moss, which is fine, but you have to add a lot of nutrients to it. I personally like to mix together sphagnum, perlite, and bark chips. I put everything on top of a little layer of leca just to raise everything up. That's not really there for any reason other than that. I'll also add activated charcoal to this mix if I have it on hand. So this mix is really great for my greenhouse. Sphagnum definitely dries out easily, so having the sphagnum mix out in my living room is not the easiest thing to keep well hydrated. This works fantastic in the greenhouse. It dries out slow enough that I can even leave it for a few extra days and it's not a problem. Now, Roehampton Orchids, they recommend using an actual soil mixture, and they recommend the HP Pro Mix with bark, perlite, and activated charcoal. And I would use that if I was growing these plants in my living room, but because I have them in these ideal conditions here, I find that mine do amazing in that sphagnum mix. Just do be aware if you're using a sphagnum mix that you're definitely going to be wanting to re-add nutrients to that mixture a few times a year. All right, well, I think that is about the end of the video. So now for the exciting part, Roehampton and I are teaming up to do a giveaway over on Instagram. And the giveaway will be for one of their Makotes Sanderiana, a new variation that they've got in. I'll put a picture of it up over here so you can check it out. So the giveaway will be Canada-wide and it will run until the 16th of December. I will leave down in the description box all of Roehampton's information. They also have a YouTube channel that they've recently started. Definitely go check them out. Roehampton has a great collection. They have awesome photos to really show you some of these beautiful, beautiful orchids. I definitely recommend heading over to their website. So I will end this video here. If you like this video, definitely subscribe. Leave your comments down below. And thank you guys again so much for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Bye, you guys.